Okay, guys. So, we are going to straight away start the class. So, the second type of threat is familiarity threat. As the name suggests, familiarity threat is when you're familiar with the client and somewhere your peacock is getting sacrificed. Understood?
Understood.
Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
on to that. The first one is long association of senior personnel. Okay. So when you are in an audit team and your client has been there since many years, okay, and the senior has been in close contact with the client for many years, then what happens is that the client is acquainted with the audit firm, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all the engagement team senior might be someone who might personally know them as well, right? Okay. So this
Yeah.
would create a self-interest threat, okay, and it might lead to the fact that they may ignore the material misstatements in the FS. Clear?
Yeah.
So factors includes like how much close they are with the client, okay, and what is the duration of the relationship at the time of the audit is taking place, and also the level of supervision that person has over the client, okay, and also how much the senior is actually interfering in the audit result. Clear?
Clear.
So for the audit client, the consideration is that what is the complexity of the or the nature of the FS, what is the turnover for the management, okay, and what are the structural altercations, that means what are the structure of their BOD. Clear? Okay. So safeguard is that all the clients would be rotated among the audit teams in the company. Clear? That is the first thing. Okay. And in
Mm-hmm.
this way, the task and the role is going to keep on changing. Okay. Now, for listed clients, the key audit partner, that is the person who is uh, the senior most person in the audit firm, okay, won't have more than 7 years with the client. Understood?
Understood.
That means that person is not going to interfere in this client audit for more than 7 years. That means up to 7 years, it's okay. After that, they should get a cooling off period. Okay. And what is the cooling
Mm-hmm.
off period? It is 5 years for an engagement partner, 3 years for EQR, engagement quality reviewer, and 2 years for audit partners. Clear? Okay.
Clear.
And during this cooling off period, this person cannot be having any role in that engagement team. Okay. He
Mm-hmm.
can't be part of the team. He can't be consulted in something. He can't provide any kind of services to the client. Okay. Or he can't be involved in making major decisions in the audit outcome. Clear?
Clear.
Now, if suppose there is some emergency and this can't and he can't actually step away from the audit team, then a 1 year extension is available in this situation. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if suppose the client has become a public entity, okay, then also whatever the role that this person, this audit team member has played in the previous years also counts. Okay, it doesn't create an special consideration. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if there is no other person who is experienced enough to take on that role, also, there could be an extension of 1 year provided. Clear?
Clear.
Now, the second one, family and personal relationship. Okay. So, if the audit team member has someone they know in the client company, okay, then that also creates a familiarity and self-interest threat. Clear? Now,
Clear.
the level of threat involves in deciding whether or not how much of a close relationship that this person has with the client company. Clear? And also how much involved that person is within the client company's FS. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And consideration would also be given the level of team, the role and level of team member. Okay. The family's position in the client company, and also the relation closeness of the relationship. Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what is the safeguard? The audit team, whoever has an immediate family member in the client company, would instantly be taken out from the engagement team. Clear?
Clear.
Now, if the family member is in a position to influence or manipulate the FS, then that person will surely be removed from the team. That is for sure. The second
Mm-hmm.
one is that there would be a structure that is there in the firm for dealing with such situations in the future also. Clear? Now,
Clear.
the third one, for all the other employees who's not a key partner, okay, or have influential clients for their with whom they have personal relationship with, the firm is going to establish a policy for the employees to report that. Understood? Okay.
Understood.
For example, when I entered into this audit firm, I first received I received an agreement, okay, where I had to disclose if there is any clients in the firm that I have a personal relationship with. Okay, so that is a policy.
Mm-hmm.
Understood? Okay.
Understood.
Now the fourth one, there should be policies, okay, which would ensure that all the audit work is properly reviewed. Clear?
Clear.
Now, third one, recruitment services. Okay, recruitment services is basically the client, we are giving client company a suggestion to recruit someone in a senior position. Clear? And
Clear.
this would involve familiarity threat, self-interest threat, also intimidation threat. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Familiarity because whoever you are suggesting might be the person you know. Self-interest because this person that you suggested may have that kind of relationship where you are getting a monetary benefit to them. Intimidation
Mm-hmm.
threat because you might get scared whether or not in the future this person would be fired by the client company, right? So all such things are there. Okay.
Okay.
And this would in the end impact whatever audit result is there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the safeguard? See, for us as the audit firm, we can review the qualification. Okay. We can interview the applicants. Okay. That is okay because we are actually measuring their ability to perform as a senior personnel in the client firm. Clear?
Mm-hmm. Clear.
Now, recruitment services are provided, but there are certain rules. Okay. The rule is that
Okay.
in the end, the decision making power vests within the client's management. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you are going to give an interview, you're going to review the qualification, just going to suggest that this person is good, this person is bad. And in the end, the management is the person who is going to decide the suitability, the selection criteria, the employment terms and conditions, the remuneration that they are ready to offer. So everything these details rest in the hands of the management of the client. Clear?
Clear.
Now, the firm is prohibited. Prohibited means the firm is not allowed to recruit any person that is in the senior position who has a direct control over the FS. Clear?
Clear.
And that too
Okay.
significantly. Understood? Now, the fourth
Mm-hmm.
one, employment with an audit client. Just a moment, guys.
Okay.
So fourth one is employment with an audit client. So this is where there is an impending chance that, okay, the audit team, anyone among the audit team, it can be a staff, it can be a partner, anyone, it can be a senior audit staff, it can be anyone who's going to join the audit client. Clear? So here
Clear.
there is a self-interest threat, there is a familiarity threat, there is an intimidation threat. Okay? And
Mm-hmm.
this would actually lead to the audit team not performing or sacrificing the objectivity. Okay? And it would also not have them question the audit client. Okay? So
Okay.
first of all, in order to get to a decision what safeguard is necessary, we have to understand the nature of the person joining the client firm. Understood? So it should
Mm-hmm.
be related with the entitlement to benefits, any payment, participation in the business activities, etc. First of all, okay, and consideration should also be given to the client position and involvement in with the audit team also. Clear?
Clear.
Now, this perspective also comes into question, like this person has already left the team and joined the client also. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what are the safeguards? If there is a former partner or audit team member who has joined the client team, client firm, okay, this person would already know what we are going to ask of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we
Yes.
are going to do. So, first of all, change the audit plan. Clear? Second,
Okay.
you're going to assign experienced individual who can actually think ahead of that person who has joined the client. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next one is there would be an appropriate reviewer who's going to review the work performed by the team members. Clear?
Clear.
Just a moment. Okay. Now the next one is the partners joining listed clients as director or employee with financial influence. That means some they have joined a position where they are directly able to access the FS. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
So here independence is compromised for sure unless this person has been off from the audit firm for more than 12 months or at least for 12 months. Clear? Okay, I'll repeat. Okay, this is okay. This particular scenario is fine. Okay, if the
Mm-hmm.
FS that the client has been issued with is past the 12 months since the issue. Clear?
Clear.
And also, one more condition is there. The partner shouldn't be a part of the audit team while this was taking place. Understood?
Understood.
Okay. Now, next is senior or managing partner who has joined the listed audit firm or sorry, audit client. Also, the same scenario applies. Okay. That is, more than 12 months should have been passed since the last audited financials, and this person shouldn't be a part of that audit team. Clear?
Clear.
Okay. Now, the third kind of threat is self review threat. So, why a self review threat? Mostly because an audit firm would provide two kinds of services, audit services and non audit services. Understood? So, non
Understood.
audit service would include accounting, taking the accounting records and straightening them, that is accounting services, tax services, okay, business
Mm-hmm.
activities, other business consultancies, right? So there could be
Yes.
many other non-audit service. So when you're auditing, you're going to audit the company as a whole, right? So
Mm-hmm.
might be that you have performed some non-audit services to your client and review, and you are basically reviewing your own work. So in this case, there is a self-review threat. Clear?
Clear.
Understood? So the first
Mm-hmm.
one is accounting and bookkeeping services. Okay. So this would create a self-review thread because you have already prepared their records and you are checking all over it again, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these kinds of services involves keeping accounting records and getting involved in the FS. Okay. Determining the accounting policies for them. Okay. Giving them the journal entries. Okay. And determining accounting classification and transaction for them, recording their transactions, giving them payroll services, etc. Clear? Now, discussing and suggesting them does not create any threat. Clear? But
Clear.
if you're doing it for them, creates a threat. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it is a non-listed client that we're talking about, okay, we can actually do non-audit services, which is a mechanical thing. Understood? Mechanical thing as in it is a usual thing that you are helping them with. That is not a problem. Understood?
Understood.
Now, what do? We are going to create a separate team which is going to help them maintain their records. That's the only condition. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And there would be an independent reviewer who's going to review your work, okay, who is uninvolved in the services is going to review the work. Understood? Now,
Mm-hmm.
what are routine mechanical services? Preparing payroll calculations, okay, recording um, the easy transactions, okay, calculating depreciation and setting accounting policies, useful life, residual value, etc. Okay, posting what the client has already coded the transactions with, okay, and posting whatever the client have actually approved with in the trial balance, okay, preparing FS based on whatever the information that the client is going to give us. Clear?
Clear.
So these are okay for non-listed clients. If it is listed clients, means you are prohibited in providing any accounting or bookkeeping services for them. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but there is a provision where you can provide accounting services for a part of their branch or for a part of their business activities or any related entities you are allowed. Clear? But you should make sure there is a separate team for that, and also whatever work you're doing has less impact over the company you are auditing. Understood? Or the FS you are auditing. Clear?
Yes.
Now, the second type of service is internal audit service, which is also a non-auditing services, which is going to create self-review threat. Okay. Now, what are the considerations that we are going to place? We are going to check the materiality of whatever work is being done and how it impacts the FS. Clear? You're going to check if there is any risk of material misstatements, okay, in the FS. Clear? Assertion part, I'll be coming at it when we discuss procedures. Okay.
Okay.
And next thing is we are going to determine how much as an external auditor we're going to depend on the internal auditors. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for
Yes.
non-listed client, internal audit services for non-listed clients would be allowed if they are using a separate team who is not part of the audit team for the internal audit. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For listed clients, it is prohibited because internal audit directly controls all the records of the entity. So we are basically reviewing our own work. So no. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Now, next kind of services that is involved is tax services. Okay. So when we offer tax services to the audit client, we are creating a self-review and advocacy threat because we would be representing on behalf of our client in registering and stuffs, right? So it creates a self-review threat. Okay, so what does tax services include? It involves filing the taxes, calculations based on the accounting entries, tax planning and advisory services, valuation related with the tax services. Okay. And if there is any issue with the government on the taxes that has been imposed, then you are basically representing them. Now, what are the considerations that you're going to look into this? You're going to look at the characteristics of the engagement, how far it is, what is the scope, clear?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to determine how much expert the client is in determining the tax calculation. That means less involvement on your part, clear?
Yeah.
Next, you're going to determine what is the complexity of the tax regime within the country, clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, simply by filing a tax calculation to your company, to your client company, does not create a threat. Okay, threat level involves these considerations. Understood? Okay,
Yes.
because in the end, when you do tax calculations, you're giving it for the government to approve. Okay, so government is the ultimate decision maker in this sense. Clear?
Yeah.
So if it is a non-listed client, you're going to use a separate professional team who's going to do these things. Clear? And there would be an independent review for providing such things. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if it is a listed client, you are prohibited because it takes into calculation the material aspect, that is the deferred tax, which is going to be a figure in the FS, right?
Yes.
If suppose the tax calculations are very trivial, that means the tax calculation is not material enough for the FS, you are allowed to do it, but make sure you take this safeguards. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now, next one, tax planning and advisory services. Okay, so in the above, we have mainly concentrated on filing, calculating, evaluation, right? Next is planning and advisory services. So, what is the consideration? The subject level, that means the scope, okay? Whether the tax treatment that you're suggesting aligns with the country's rules and regulations. Okay, what is the potential impact of your advice on the FS? Okay, now, if the advice is given in such a way that it is going to find loopholes in the IFRS, then that is not allowed. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is prohibited? It is prohibited to provide taxation advisory services to the client, especially if it deals with giving services on the accounting treatment. Understood? And
No,
you know,
I
in
don't
the
get
end,
it. Why?
In the end, when you advise a client for tax services, the client, it's just a known fact that the client is going to try maximum in order to reduce the tax,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they are
Okay.
basically asking you for advices on the accounting treatment that they have passed in order to get down that particular tax amount. Clear?
Clear.
So hence prohibited by the standards. Clear?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If it is a significant amount. So what happens if it is a trivial amount? You're going to advise the client, but there would be a special audit, a special non-audit team who's going to see to that part. Also, there would be an independent reviewer who's not involved in the service reviewing the audit work that has been done. Clear?
Clear.
Now, for you to do all this, you have to obtain pre-clearance from the tax authorities as well. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, tax services which involves valuation, what of those things? Okay, so if the valuation is performed for tax services, okay, which is not being externally reviewed, okay, and if the tax valuation that you have done is very material on the FS, then it would create a self review threat. Clear? So
Yeah.
what should you consider? The amount of valuation that you have done, whether it is supported by the tax law. Clear? The scope
Yeah.
of the tax services that is being given, okay, and also the reliability of the data. Understood? Just a moment, guys. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No worries.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, what is a safeguard? So, if you're going to offer these services, okay, you're going to use a non-audit team, okay, that is a separate team. Now, whatever work that is being done would be reviewed by a separate independent reviewer, okay. Now, to do this, you're going to get a clearance from the tax authorities. Understood?
Understood.
Now, sixth one, assistance in resolution of tax disputes. So, if there is any disputes regarding your tax calculations and stuffs, that is the client company's tax calculations and stuffs, if the client is seeking advice or giving asking you for providing resolution, what happens? So in order to do this, the audit firm first of all have to understand the materiality of this particular calculation in the FS. Clear?
Clear.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if the advice is going to be given, you have to decide the focal point of the dispute. That means, how did it create? Was it a malpractice on behalf of the client? Like that. Clear? Next, you
Clear.
have to understand whether or not the service is allowed or permissible by the tax authorities. Okay. Next, you have to see whether it is going to be publicized or if it is going to be known to the public. That means it would also create an advocacy threat. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're going to offer such services, there should be a separate team. There should be an independent reviewer who is going to review all the work that is being done. What is prohibited? If this particular thing is out and about in the public, you can't represent that client firm. Understood? Because it would create an
Understood.
advocacy threat. Okay, so what are the allowed advisory role? You can respond to the information that the court requests. That is okay. You can give factual verdict upon whatever is being discussed. Okay. You can make the client understand what the problem is. Okay. And how they can solve this. You can make them understand. You can give advices on that. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now, seventh services, non-audit services of IT services. Okay. So this will also be creating a self-review thread because you are basically going to evaluate the internal control system of the company, client company, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
are
Yes.
consideration? You're going to decide the scope of the work, that is for sure. You're going to decide what is the impact and the service that you have provided, how it is going to be connected with the FS, okay? And the extent of which the audit team is going to rely on the IT services. Clear? So
Clear.
what are the permissible IT services? You can't actually tell them design and implement things, okay, which is
Mm-hmm.
not
Okay.
going to affect the FS. It's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Also, you can implement off-the-shelf softwares and stuffs. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
That means you're not creating a bespoke software to the client. You are just getting an off-the-shelf software and giving them. That is okay. Okay. Also, you can provide evaluation and recommendation to the client in order to make them make their accounting records more clearer, right? So it is okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for all clients, if you're going to provide such services, you're going to use a separate non-audit team. Clear?
Okay.
And you're going to ensure that whatever is being happening, the management takes full responsibility of the IT services that is being provided. For listed clients, it is prohibited if the IT control that you're offering becomes a very important part of the internal control system, which would have further impact over the FS. Clear?
Clear.
Yes.
Okay. Now the next one, eighth one, valuation services. Okay. So here you're going to consider, if you're going to provide a valuation service, how would the report be used by the client? Okay, what judgment would be involved in making them? The subjectivity, the impact over the valuation to the FS. Okay, and also you have to note whatever would happen in the future, the assumptions that you have used, right? Whether what you have used in making the valuation report is publicly acceptable. That means it's a general practice or not. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the safeguards for non-listed client? You're going to avoid valuation services unless it is a trivial amount or it doesn't affect the FS in a big, or it doesn't have a huge impact over the FS, then it is allowed. Otherwise, you should avoid that. Clear? For
Clear.
listed clients, irrespective whether or not it has a great subjectivity over the non-audit services, if it is material enough, you are not too involved in such things. The other one, it is saying for you to avoid. Okay, for listed clients you should reject. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
What is the general guidelines? If you're going to accept, you have to get a separate team. There should be an independent reviewer who's going to review this work that you have done. Clear? Understood?
Yes.
Understood.
Next one, corporate finance services. Okay. So, what are corporate finance services? It is basically creating portfolios, giving them targets to achieve, restructuring their capital system, right? So, this is called a portfolio management, right? So, that is basically a corporate finance service. Clear? So
Mm-hmm.
what consideration has to be taken in place? You're going to evaluate the subjectivity. You're going to assess if there is any material impact over the FS, whether you are giving them advices on the accounting treatments and stuffs. Clear? So what
Clear.
is the safeguard? You can outsource a non-audit professional in order to do that for you. Okay? And you're going to keep a
Mm-hmm.
separate independent reviewer who's going to review their work. Okay. Now,
Okay.
if the corporate financing services includes you representing your client firms to others in investment and stuffs, avoid that or refrain from it because it is going to create an advocacy threat. Clear? Okay.
Clear.
Okay.
Also, if you're going to provide such services, refrain from giving them advices on the accounting treatments that they have to do upon those things. Clear? It is
Mm-hmm.
basically
Yes.
corporate restructuring. Understood?
Understood.
Yes.
Now, the next one, legal services. So, offering legal services to the audit client would create a self review and advocacy threat because people might be of the idea that you are representing that audit client. Clear? And
Clear.
if you are to provide, it should be in consideration that every thing that you do is on a professional level. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to consider the materiality of the representation in the FS or how much complexity of judgment is involved while you are giving those services. Clear? So, what is the safeguard? You're going to employ a non audit team professional who's going to handle this. Clear? You're going to assign or you're going to take an independent reviewer's opinion about the work that has been done. Okay. Now you're going to prohibit firms senior most personnel in involving in this particular scenario. Okay. Next
Okay.
is you're going to avoid anything that might create an advocacy threat. Clear?
Clear.
Okay. And you're also going to keep away from any legal services that is going to impact the client FS. Okay. 11th
Mm-hmm.
one, temporary personnel assignments. Okay. So if the client has requested that their accounting records are a mess and they need an audit staff for 1 or 2 months in order to straighten things out so that the audit can be smooth, right? So basically loaning a personnel. Clear? This would
Mm-hmm.
create a self-review, advocacy threat, and a familiarity threat. Clear? Because
Clear.
the staff is going over there and involving them involving personally with the client, right? So what is the consideration? Consideration should be given on how the time period of the staff getting loaned. Okay. Second one is
Yes.
the role of the individual in the client firm. Third one, if the client is supervised or not. Okay, that means is the client actually taking that loan person's opinion in certain things or not? Clear? So, what are the safeguards? You're going to conduct an independent review of the work that they have done. Okay, you're going to remove that person from the audit team. Okay, you're going to remove any audit responsibilities in relation to the loan assignment. Clear?
Clear.
Now, the next one, serving as a director or officer of an audit client. Okay. So, if the person in our team is a director or officer of the audit client, okay, before, then it creates a self review threat because he must have done those work and he is auditing it now. Clear? Okay. So,
Yes.
what is the general safeguard? You're going to prohibit partners or employees to be the client firm's director or officers. Clear?
Clear.
Okay. Now, the partner or employee can only be a company secretary. CS is a whole new topic which relates with a legal perspective also, right? So, if the country allows for a person to be a CS for that client, whom he has been auditing, then if the country permits, he can be the CS. Clear?
Clear.
13th one, client staff joins the audit firm. Okay, the client staff is joining the audit firm. So threat is that he might have done the work and we are reviewing it now, right? Yeah. Now, the threat
Clear.
significance involves in determining what position this person has held, okay, and the time since leaving, okay, and also the team members' role in the firm. Clear? Okay. So, if the service period is before the audit period, then you're going to take the materiality into question on how the work has been done, what is the scope. Clear? So, what is the safeguard? General safeguard. You're going to remove that person from the team during that audit period. Clear?
Clear.
Hello. Okay. Now, the second one is if there is a prior service that is being there, okay, you're going to make a person additionally review those work that has been done. Clear?
Clear.
Now, small two threats, which has been also there in certain other threats also. Okay. So it's just a
Clear.
small thing. So what is an advocacy threat? Advocacy threat happens when you're representing a client, okay, publicly. Then that creates an assumption that you are with your client, right? And that is not allowed according to standards. Okay. So you
Okay.
shouldn't represent your client in court cases, any disputes in the FS. You shouldn't represent your client in negotiating finance with the financial institutions. You shouldn't loan a personnel. That is the basic thing. But there are exemptions that we have just covered. You shouldn't provide valuation. Also, there are exemptions. Okay. You shouldn't provide tax services. Also, there are exemptions that we have just covered. Clear? Now,
Clear.
what is intimidation threat? Intimidation threat is basically connected with the fear. Okay. It's basically a fear point of view. So, if something that you have been doing, you have a fear of displeasing your client and you're going to avoid all the PCOP or you're going to sacrifice your PCOP, then that becomes an intimidation threat. Clear? So if
Clear.
your client has a position in the firm in order to pressurize you into something, that would create an intimidation threat. What is the examples? Fee dependency. In the fear of not getting the fees, you're going to sacrifice. In the fear of not getting the gifts and hospitality, you're going to sacrifice. In the fear of your person whom you know who's in there in the client's office of getting fired from the job and stuffs, you're going to sacrifice your peacock. Okay. And recruitment services, we have already discussed. Employment with an audit client. That means you are to join the client, and you may fear that the client is not going to hire you for certain reasons. You're going to sacrifice your uh, PCOP, right? And last is if there is a
Mm-hmm.
litigation, a legal case running with the client, and you fear that it might not go where you want it to go, then also you might sacrifice the PCOP. Understood?
Understood.
Understood.
Okay. So with that, this lesson comes to an end, and whatever things that we have studied so far are standards, are ISAs, but you don't need to know the name. You just need to know the theoretical basis and their application. Clear? For Sara,
Clear.
it is going to be MCQs. Worst case scenario, you're going to have a two-column question. That is the worst case scenario. For Samriddhi, it is going to
Okay.
be a paragraph, especially devoted to this particular chapter, and you have to explain things. Clear?
Okay.
And I assure you, nothing that means whatever is covered in this particular chapter would only be the questions that you have to attend. No questions would come out of the box for this particular thing. Clear? So
Okay. Clear.
Okay.
if you study this chapter very thoroughly, it would be enough for you for the exams, for both of you. Clear?
Okay.
Okay. Clear.
Okay? Okay, guys. For
Okay.
tomorrow, we'll start with the next chapter. As soon
Okay.
as the double A chapters are over, the class would be split between you two guys. Okay?
Okay.
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 Tomorrow, what time would you like us to start?
Tomorrow, we'll start early also. Early.
Okay. 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? If there is
All right.
Okay.
anything that comes up, I'll tell you beforehand.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Bye.
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 Assalamualaikum, Sarah. Bye.
Assalamu alaikum.